Zenyatta's kind of always towed the line between being absurdly powerful and a little bit too weak. It seems like, though, with some recent changes, he might be tilting back in favor of the little too powerful side. How's it going, everybody? Force here, and today I'd like to talk about Zenyatta and how he may no longer be the worst hero. A couple weeks ago, we put up a video talking about how he was the only hero to never be picked in some recent professional tournaments, and that might have classified him as one of the bottom of the barrel heroes. I mean, it has to. He was considered never effective or not effective enough in any situation for an entire tournament by professional players. That's kind of a big deal. However, in the future, with the upcoming drastically shifting meta as we suspect it, with a bunch of hero changes and a brand new hero being added to the roster, Zenyatta may start to find his way into the mix. Now, what I want to do here in this video is go over all of the upcoming changes as we see them right now on the PTR and talk about what these changes mean and how it might shift up Zenyatta's position. So we'll start things off by looking at maybe one of his biggest changes, and that was to his health. Namely, his base shields have been increased by 50. So his total health is now 200, with 50 of it being regular health and 150 of it being shields. This puts him right in line with other supports and damage dealers. Now, the fact that he's got so much of his health as shields gives him great self-sustain, allowing him to very quickly regen once he breaks out of combat. In fact, in my playtime, I found that I rarely ever needed actual healing from a health pack or from another healer on the team, since most of the damage that I ever took would be absorbed by the now 150 shields. So this gives him time to break line of sight and regen his shields, or just the extra time to get off another shot or two and kill any threats that might be attacking him. Now, it's worth noting that Blizzard has said they might readjust his health if they feel 200 makes him a little bit too strong. It might be bumped down to 175. Now, as of this recording right now on Tuesday morning, that is not the case, but we might even be seeing a patch later today, honestly, who knows. But as it sits, he's got 200 health, and that's giving him once more that extra time to safely get out of line of sight and regen, or kill anyone who's on his butt. Next up, I'd like to take a look at his basic attack, Energy Orb. Now, this was actually nerfed to coincide with his extra survivability, but not by much. Energy Orb has been reduced from 45 down to 40 damage per shot. Now, he can fire 3 rounds in a second. This gives him 120 DPS. And you should note, by the way, that this puts him just shy of McCree's DPS of 140. As a support character, being just shy of McCree's damage, that's pretty awesome. But then we have to apply Discord Orb, which gives him 50% more damage dealt to the target, and this puts him actually above McCree's basic attack damage, or his DPS, if you will. And although this nerf to damage does require an extra body shot for every 200 health hero that you try to kill, I still think this doesn't nerf Zenyatta's damage enough to make him worthless. He is still quite significant, and he's shooting projectiles, which means there's a good chance you'll hit some headshots there in the mix as well. Now, I do want to note, though, we haven't dove into this yet in a video, but the projectile hitbox sizes have been reduced, it seems, in this PTR patch, and we do believe this is going live. Now, what this means is characters like Zenyatta and Hanzo and Genji and Mei's alternate attack, the icicle attack, all of these projectile-based attacks are slightly harder to hit than they have been in the past. That does affect Zenyatta in a way, and it's worth keeping in mind. His attacks don't connect quite as easily as they did in the past. His alternate attack, Orb Volley, got a buff. The orb damage, each of them has been increased from 35 to 40. So a fully charged volley is 5 shots. That gives him 200 damage at a full volley. However, it does take 0.5 seconds per orb charge. So that's 2.5 seconds for all 5 orbs and 200 damage. While his basic attack will still do 240 damage in only 2 seconds. So more damage in less time. Of course, the benefit of orb volley is that it's best used for burst surprise damage, like catching someone by surprise around a corner, but I still found that I very rarely would use it because, again, the DPS is just quite a bit higher using his basic attacks. So I really don't know what's going on with Orb Volley. I think it's just a very, very select situation in which you ever use it. This is probably one of the only heroes in this game that there's an ability of his that I rarely and almost never use. I mean, anyone who has an alternate attack from their basic attack or scope or whatever, I'm using on a regular basis. But on Zenyatta, I don't know, it still feels feels kind of worthless in 99.9% of the situations. So moving on to his Discord and Harmony orbs, these have been changed actually pretty significantly. I don't want you guys to discount this. The projectile speed has been increased from 30 to 120. Now, I'm not sure what those values are based off of. I don't know if that's meters per second or what. It might actually be, now that I think of it. But that's it. Basically, it applies 4 times faster. Now, this is significant because it means that healing gets to your allies that much quicker. And with a range of 40 meters, this lets you get characters like your harassers, a Genji or a Tracer, for example. It lets them pop out quickly into your line of sight, and you can apply that healing, getting them healed up much more quickly. So this basically just makes your healing better. It applies your healing more quickly, rather. On the other side of things, with the Discord orb, your debuff of 50% increased damage gets applied to your enemies more quickly, meaning that they start to take extra damage faster. So this increased projectile speed is actually a pretty big deal. Don't discount it. And then lastly, we saw a big change to his ultimate, Transcendence. First off, the movement speed has been doubled. And then on top of that, his healing from his ultimate has been increased from 200 to 300 health per second. So the movement speed increase basically lets Zenyatta catch up to his teammates who might be in trouble very, very quickly now. Whereas in the past, you moved actually kind of slow, and you basically had to be on top of people that you wanted to heal for it to be effective. But now it's the case where if I see someone who's in trouble or I hear an ultimate being called out from the enemy that I can counter, I'll pop it immediately, and then I can just zoom racer my way to wherever that action is happening. And again, in a very fast fashion. It makes you very responsive. And that extra healing is actually made to help offset any strong sustained fire even more than he was in the past. And this is by design. His ultimate is designed to stop consistent, sustained high amounts of damage. So those are all of the changes that are coming to Zenyatta. It's worth noting that he is still less useful as a pure healer when compared to Mercy, Lucio, and now Ana. But he is now even better at fulfilling the role of supporting heals while bringing a significant amount of damage to the table. His Discord orb lets his team melt enemies that much faster, and the improved speed and healing of his Transcendence basically puts his ultimate more in line with that of the other support heroes. He's more responsive and effective at getting to his team and countering certain enemy team ultimates. A concern is going to be with Ana. If she's played a ton in the upcoming metagame, Zenyatta's team will have to be aware of her grenade healing debuff, and they're going to need to try to deal with it. It can be dealt with via shields from Winston or Reinhardt, Diva's defense matrix can absorb the grenade, or even Genji's reflect can deal with it. I've always loved playing Zenyatta. He's one of my favorite supports because I can do a little bit of healing, but also still play as a significant damage dealer, and I think his kit and design does appeal to a lot of people. He's just always had the problem. He's just been slightly outclassed by the other supports. But I think as a secondary support role behind a Lucio or behind another Mercy, if you want that extra damage for your team, plus that Discord debuff, and now that his Transcendence is better, I think there's a good place now for Zenyatta, and I'll be interested to see if he makes his way into the meta. Alright guys, that is going to do it for me here today, taking a look at Zenyatta's upcoming changes, talking about what these changes mean and how it might affect him in the current metagame. As always, I want to know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Hope you all have a fantastic afternoon, and until next time, I'll see you later. What does that even mean?